You can say hi.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, people are mute, so they won't be answering you.
Hey, Malcolm. How are you going?
Hi, Bob.
Good.
Hi, Kat.
Hi, hi.
Hi.
Megan, Vanessa. Well, the same old, same old.
You good, darling.
Why is it the same old, same old? Because it's the one thing we talk about. It's no use to go into long stories about how or what it is. It's basically what they call, for want of a better term, non-duality. And to point out that there is absolutely no duality in non-duality. So duality and non-duality are just two words we put on it, which is the way that the mind functions, vibrating into the pairs of opposites, good and bad, pleasant, painful, happy, sad, loving, hating, positive, negative, all the same functioning, the same, what they call mind. And when you look at it closely, there is no such thing as mind. But can anyone show me a thing called mind? And yet we claim it as my mind. My body, my mind, my body, my mind. And you can't see anything solid or substantial that you can say is mind. All mind is words. All words are sounds. And all sounds are vibration. All vibration is an activity of energy. That's why I call it the activity of knowing, intelligence, energy. Or you can say it's the absolute, it's all there is. It's one without a second, is the way they put it. In Hinduism, one without a second implies there's nothing other than the one, not even one. Because the second is two, isn't it? So that's why the same thing gets been said over and over again. Because we're trying to point out that there is absolutely no duality in non-duality. There's all that one essence. And that's so, just from going into the long-winded stories of trying to become something. Becoming is not being. Right here, right now, anyone there who is not being right now, and you must realise or recognise, no, I am being, I'm not being, I am being. Being anyone who is unaware right now. No, I'm not unaware, so if you're not unaware, you must be aware. And you must, if you're not non-being, you must be. That's another way of putting the Satchitananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, nama rupa, or awareness of being is bliss. In that bliss of being, or the awareness of being, without locking into the concepts, or into the time-bound past or future, or to the memories and conceptualizing a future, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's where the bliss is, in the cognizing emptiness. What can you say about emptiness? Nothing wrong, it's just empty. Empty of any shape, pattern or form. The cognizing, it has the capacity of knowing or cognizing. And what I call it a cognizing emptiness. And when you realise what he's saying that we are not cognised in the emptiness, which we think, I've got to find this sector, I've got to cognise it or know it. It's the emptiness itself, suffused with that intelligence energy that's patterning, shaping, forming you and me and everything else is doing the cognising. That's how he could make the statement that emptiness is form. It is that cognising emptiness in which everything is patterning, shaping, forming, which is forming everything. Everything in its manifestation. And so the manifestation is nothing but things. The forms are things. The patterns are things. And it's all no thing because the patterns, shapes and forms are Maya. They are illusion. A phenomenal manifestation. And the definition of phenomenon is that which appears to be. An appearance is making it seemingly so. You realise all this manifestation is appearance. It's only seemingly so. If you're not there to recognise, or if you're not, who's going to know it? So we need, and the pattern, shape and form is not what you are. It's just an expression of that emptiness again. A thing that's shaping and forming as a body, as a mind. With all the organs and all the nerves and sinews and brains and everything in it. They're all things to which the intelligence energy is suffusing, patterning through, and they're seemingly making it all seemingly real, and we take the pattern, shape and form, or the illusionary pattern to be real. Not realising it's the very life itself, the intelligence energy that's forming it, living in it, expressing as it. And when you realise that you can't be anything other than the life itself. And as Christ pointed out, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. Not talking about himself as a person, talking about that sense of presence. The sense of presence is with you right now, that beingness or awareness or that sense of presence. Somebody asks you who you are, how would you say? Well, I'd say, I am Bob, or I am Megan, I am Kavita, or I am this, or I'm putting the labels on it, which discriminate it. And the only thing that's discriminating is the word. And the word itself is not the real. Take the word water, can you drink it? Take the word fire, does it burn your mouth? So the word is not the thing. The word I am is not the word. What we take it to be, when we say I am, we think that we are this pattern, or this label, this conceptual image, I'm Bob the Australian, and we think that's our reality. That's all words, concepts. I am is the sense of presence. There is awareness, a sense, or a feeling, or sensation of being. And we think we are that sensation. But the sensation's constantly changing. But the being is still the same being. It's still being, whether it's feeling this or feeling that or sensing this or saying that, it's still the one being. And we look at that and see how real that is. We call ourselves a human being. We've got the label that we are human, shapes and forms. So I'm a human being. I'm being a human. If you believe in this thing called God, you call God the supreme being. It's a being far greater than what I am. Take the label supreme off, take the label human off, and try and separate the beings and realise the chair you're sitting on is being a chair. The room you're in is being a room. The things in the room are being those things. And you are being the seeming person. So you see this, it's all the one being. The sense of presence is expressing through it. It's expressing in all the different patterns, shapes and forms. As the Buddha said, emptiness is form. It's all the emptiness appearing in these pattern shapes and forms. And those forms, that means you, me, and everything else, are nothing but the emptiness. So your true nature is emptiness, a cognizing emptiness, and emptiness suffused with intelligence. Intelligence is knowing. And it's that same intelligence that's vibrating into all the pattern shapes and forms and all the things in this manifestation. And you are that. That's the great mantra. I am that. Innately, you already know it. Because you say, that's the chair, that's the carpet, that's you, that's me. Everything is that. But we've discriminated with the words or the labels we put on. Instead of such seeing it as that, we see it as the chair, the flower, the tree, the plant, the space, the sun, the sky, you, me, and everything else, which we put words on. They take them to be that, which they are that, but taking the word, the pattern, shape and form which we discriminate with to be real. And then you realise that every word you've ever spoken or ever likely to speak has been learnt. How many words were you born with? You go back, you can't remember your birth. So how can you say how many words you did? And the reason you can't remember your birth is you had no words to describe it or explain it. And when you look into it and you realise the first words you ever spoke was when you were about 2, 2.5, somewhere around that age. After you'd learned these words from your parents or whoever was fussing around you speaking, and you took on the capacity of reasoning had developed in you by then. Before that, there was no reasoning, there was just seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, something. But the capacity of reasoning, which is a very useful capacity, began to form with the learning of the words. And you learn words like I and me, good and bad, pleasant, painful, happy, sad. You start to learn all these words. And then you relate it to this form. People told you you're little Johnny or a good boy or girl or you're this, that and the other. And you reason that I am little Johnny or I am this girl or I am this or whatever. And that reasoning, you added it onto the conceptual image. And that conceptual image now became the persona, the mask. That's the word person comes from. Latin language meaning the mask. So we've got this conceptual mask on ourselves. And you know what a mask does when you're wearing it with coronavirus? It covers your features up, it covers your face. You're not seeing your true face or your true nature. And we've got this mask, but it's not a mask of material, it's a mask of concepts, images and thoughts and ideas we've learned. We've taken on that mask of concepts. I am Bob, the Australian. That's all concepts. When I really am is the sense of presence, the knowing that I am, the sense of presence that knows, the knowingness, the beingness, the knowingness, the satchitananda. That knowingness translates the thought I am. Now we've translated it into the seeming persona, the mask. So, I think this person, this mask I got, is a separate entity, an individual. Not realising that it's all the absolute, it's only the one essence that's patterning, shaping and forming into these things, and everything is that one essence, the one intelligence, the one energy, the one knowing that you are, the one being. It's all the one essence that's seemingly separated. And I say seemingly divided, seemingly taken on the persona, the mask or the image, but it never was, never has, never will be, or never could be. It's always and ever and only been the one, non-dual. And they say one without a second. The second it implies something other. And we've got this idea when you look around, see all the different things around you, different shapes and forms, we take them to be separate and apart. So we're dividing it all up with these words we've learned and the idea there is more than one. And we've got numbers through that, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 100, a million, all these numbers. It's like the words, the figures. But it's only and ever will be the one, non-dual, one without a second. So that one, which includes, encapsulates everything, is absolute. It is the great perfection. We're told this in the text of the scriptures, it is absolute, it's the one, it's the great perfection. And the Buddhists give you that in one sentence. The great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. And all these labels and words we put on it are concepts. That's all a concept is, a mental construct. And that's all a thought is, a mental construct. So it's the thoughts that's conceptualised in life. But tell me, when were you ever not? You can say, I don't remember. That's all you can say, because you cannot remember what you were before you had any words. Or even when you first learned words. Until you learned them, you didn't know. That's why we can't remember our birth. And that's why you don't know anything until the capacity of reasoning develops in you at about 2 or 2.5. And that's a useful capacity. Without the reasoning, we'd still be living like animals. Seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. And you'd be able to probably discriminate things, but you had no labels to put on them to divide them up in the mind. You'd see them, just as they are, seeing different things as they are, without discrimination. With the words, we've learned to discriminate. And the words, the mind, the thing we call mind, the thinking, is discriminating with words. It's either good or bad, pleasant or painful, happy or sad, loving or hating, positive or negative, always vibrating in the interrelated opposites. And the boundaries you put upon are the words. Without the word, what boundaries have you got on yourself? Yeah. And instead of putting it on the words and discriminating and label ourselves as separate, putting ourselves into narrow cages of concepts, you remain the absolute, the totality, in which things appear, play around and disappear and resolve themselves. As Banki, a Zen monk in the 16th century said, he called it the unborn mind. And what is the mind? Unborn mind. It's the mind prior to consciousness, pure mind, or non-mind as they call it. You can't call it a thinking mind until it's conceptualised. So that pure mind is the unborn mind. And when we put the concepts on it, it becomes what is born. And that's when you learn the words like I was born, or I came into existence, and I am this separate entity. We start discriminating it then with the word, instead of seeing everything as the no thing and the no thing as everything, all pattern shapes and forms appearing and expressing. We discriminate it with the words. It tells you the instinct mean. When no discriminating thoughts arise, the old mind ceases to be, and this mind, discriminating mind, and we're not no discriminating thought, it ceases to be that way. Just come back to the pure mind that's registering everything just as it is. And is just another word for the verb to be. Am, are, is, was and were. I am is a sense of presence. This is, and what is. And you are the isness right now. Pure isness, pure being, pure knowing, and pure loving to be. Absolute. And what have we done with the discriminating mind? And the belief in the persona, the mask, is a seeming division, a seeming sense of separation. And we add to this I thought. What can you do with I thought as it is? All you can do is say I. But when it's written, it's a symbol of the figure one. but it's not even one. And I amness is again part of the verb to be. You can't say you are not. So if you translated that correctly, you'd say I am being, pure being. And it is, I am that isness. But we don't. Because we've been told that we are this person and everybody around us is reinforcing that idea. We've taken on the idea we are this person, this separate entity, this individual. And to have this person, to make it, give us some semi-reality, we've got to add to it all these concepts we've picked up along the road. I am Bob, that is my name. It's the form, I am this body, that is the form it's expressing through. I'm a good fellow, or I'm not so good, that is the concepts I'm expressing through as. Or I'm happy, or I'm unhappy, or I'm sad. Put all these concepts or words onto it to give it some substance and any independent nature. Because as it is, what can you say about it? It's just that pure isness, which is unmodified, unaltered, and uncorrected, just as it is right now. No preference, no partiality, no comparison. But none of the concepts on it, it just is. Just the pure being, it's just the eminence. And it's that sense of presence, the sense or feeling, the sensation becomes a feeling, that knowing that something's there, that I am. And you're not unaware that sense of presence is awareness, it's the knowingness, it's the beingness, that's the knowingness, the loving to be. It is the sacred of man. That we've got I am this persona, I am this mask, I am this body, I am this mind, I am this separate entity, I am this individual. Put all these concepts on, and we keep adding to them and keep believing in them, because every word you've ever spoken or ever likely to speak has been picked up, learnt along the way, you weren't born with any. And we're constantly learning new words and forgetting old ones. It keeps changing, adding new concepts. So it's the vocabulary we've got we take to be real. And all it is a group of words. So what need I do? I need to investigate, because why would I need to investigate? Well, functioning from this separate entity, this individual, this person, the sense of separation brings up insecurity and vulnerability. And we are very insecure, then we think we're secure, and we're very vulnerable, especially when we don't know what a lot of the things are, which we haven't got words for, haven't learned, or haven't understood, or haven't looked at or run. So when we read, and that's not I, or that's not me, but it doesn't fit the conceptual image of it. If that's not I, the little child, when he sees something, he doesn't realise that's not I. What does he do? He feels very fearful of it, and anxious about it, and unsure of it. And that sense of separation makes him insecure and vulnerable. And he doesn't want to be insecure and vulnerable. He wants to be complete and whole. Not realising that he already is complete and whole and total. But because of the word he's taken on, which of course is a sense of separation, he now feels he's a separate entity, an individual. So he gets locked into these words and reinforces them, because everybody around him is reinforcing the words. They've never looked at this. There's very few that have looked into it and seen through it. And they're the ones that have written the text and the scriptures and knowing about it, because the religions are formed around them. And they've been set up as saints, sages, saviours and seers, gods, and people have worshipped the messenger and missed out on what they were pointing to, the message. Have a look and investigate the message and see for yourself, because there's nobody who's ever going to give it to you, no matter who you worship or who you set up or what religion you belong to. They can't give it to you. All that can happen is to be pointed out by the seeming others, because they can't give it, but simply because they are things also. They are not the pattern, shapes and forms that they appear in. They are things just like you're a thing, which you call a human being, for want of a better term, being human. So how can one thing that's a fiction tell another thing to become something or realise something? That's why I say I can't teach you anything. I can't tell you anything. All I can do is point towards and ask you to look to where I'm pointing to. Because how can one thing tell or teach another anything? But the words can come out of this mouth and other mouth, which, if they're resonated with and recognised and resonated with by another thing, and that intelligence energy within, that's when they get the taste of it. And when they have looked into themselves along the way and seen there wasn't that security, and in what they knew as the word, something moves them to look a little bit further, and it will. It takes you where you got to go, just the same as it brought you into existence. What did you know about being born or going to become as a person or a human being? Nothing at all. But you went along with it. When it came through your parents, through the food they ate and the prana, when they got the sperm and the ovum came together and doubled that cell and redoubled it and doubled it again and formed a little embryo, a little fetus. It formed that all by itself, without you interfering, without I interfering, without your parents or anything else interfering with it. But that life that lives on life, out of which more life comes, out of life, more life came out of that life from your parents. And that's what you are today. You are still the life, and the life only. It's a Sagadata will tell you. There is only life. There is nobody who lives a life. Nobody that lives a life. And we've taken ourselves on to be this body. I am this body. I am this mind that's suffusing this body. But have a look, investigate. Are you the body? And when innately you look at it, you know you're really not the body. Because don't you say my body. To say my body, you must be realised there's something other than the body that's saying my body. The same with the mind, my mind. There must be something other than the body and the mind is saying. So innately you know you're not that. Yet we believed in it. And until we start to investigate and look into it, we'll continue to believe it. Because everybody around us is reinforcing it and believing it. And we're doing that ourselves. And if you weren't questioning it and looking into it, you wouldn't be sitting there today listening to this and say he's full of crap, get rid of him, get him out of it. But something innately in you is resonating with it. And it's brought you this far, and it's just the same as it brought you into existence, it's brought you this far, it'll take you where you got to go. And the more you're open to it, and the more you relax and let go of the old conceptual way of thinking, the easier it becomes, unburdening yourself of all the concepts we take. And then you'll see what they're talking about. They say the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. Non-conceptual. You don't need these concepts, which are good for the reason. You can do without them. Another way they put it, everything is seen, seeing everything, yet seeing everything. No, seeing nothing, yet it is seen. We are seeing no thing, yet it is seen. That's true. When you look around the room and look what's in the room now, and don't put any labels on them. Don't put a label on the chair or the picture or the floor or the ceiling or any of the things that are in the room or whatever you see. Yet you're seeing it without putting a label, and you're knowing what it is. Without the label, but you'll immediately put the old labels that you understood them. But you'll know the chair's not the carpet, and the carpet's not the window, and the roof's not something else either. They'll see the distinct things, different things, and know what they are without the label. And then again, that when no discriminating thoughts arise, the old mind ceases to be. You won't see it with the old labeling way of form. You'll see it fresh and new, as though you're seeing it for the first time, but you'll know what it is innately, intelligent. And it can be utilised then. But when you're not seeing it as you're putting the labels on it, instead of it being utilised, it's using you, because it'll tell you in the words that you're not good enough, or you're fearful, or you can't be this, you can't be that. And the worst one we put on ourselves, after all, I'm only human. You put this idea that you are a human being. being human. But you're just a pure being, and it's not the human at all. That's just a word or a label. You are the being. So the words, discriminating words, get into a lot of trouble. So it's very useful. But when it's utilising us and telling me I'm not good enough, I feel that's when it becomes self-destructive, because it tells me I'm anxious, I'm fearful, I'm unhappy, I'm depressed, I'm guilty, I'm this, that, and the other, jealous or envious. I'm having a bad trough and the world's against me. I'm introverted or extroverted. I'm a goer, I've got an egotist, I'm an egotist, I've got an ego, I'm this. All these concepts are you're putting on yourself are labels or words. But drop the word right now. Just step over it. Don't take it on board. See what happens. See whether you fall apart and disappear. You don't. You realise you haven't stopped breathing. Your heart hasn't stopped beating. Hair and fingernails haven't stopped growing. Food hasn't stopped being digested. Thoughts are not, you're not taking on board if they're coming up. Instead of be coming up, you're not bothering them. Just leave them as it is. You know. You realise the functioning is still going on without the thought. And the thought can be very useful. It's useful, it can be utilised, but when it's just a thought that we don't want or don't like, it comes up, and then that's becomes self-destructive, and we can reinforce the label and belief that we are the separate entity that needs to do something about it. So with the learning of words, that sense of presence, and put the labels on it, became a separate entity. That's when all our psychological problems started, with the words. Realise how thought functions. Thought is a subtle vibration which appears, comes up, vibrates into the word, and the belief and the energy of belief goes into the word and makes it seemingly real. And we've got this conceptual image. And on that thinking comes the feeling or the sensation. And these sensations are something new. But when you were young, and the fear came up and your parents told you you're angry. You shouldn't be angry. And from there afterwards, you reinforce that feeling, put the old label on it, and it became anger instead of seeing it fresh in you. You know? And then the other one was fear, the other one unhappiness and depression. All these thoughts came up, which are nothing but sensations. You are sensing them. And the feeling is a sensation, thought, feeling. And in the feeling comes the emotion. The tears, the unhappiness, the joy, the sadness, the friction, and this, all these emotions became real. And we're labelling with the old label, the old pattern, instead of saying fresh and new. And don't you realise that fear you were told was feared 20, 30 or 40 or 50 years ago whenever you were a kid? It's believed in and it's seemingly so for you, and that's why it's so. Because it's been believed in, never questioned. But what happens if you drop it off right now and see the sensation that comes up, instead of calling it fear, look at it, go with it, go right into it, just investigate it. And see that it's just a label you put upon yourself. See it fresh in you, what this sensation is. You might see it entirely differently if you see it as a new sensation. And the senses are constantly functioning. But we all function in the old way, good, bad, pleasant, painful, happy, sad, blah, blah, blah. Instead of seeing you, you might see it in a totally different light, totally different way. You might express as totally different. There might be a joyousness in it instead of the sadness and the unhappiness. There might be a sense of well-being in it, all sorts of things. I know it changed the pattern here in the way I live. And some others have come to recognise that's changed them also. And if you look at it and recognise it, in that recognition, recognising, seeing it fresh in you, don't hold the old cognising emptiness on it, recognise. It's been cognised, it's been known, but we keep relating it to the old. And in relating to that dead image, which we're constantly doing, how can you keep up in life? Life is ever fresh, ever new, ever present, ever aware. No unawareness in it. It's always and ever totally fresh and new and ever aware. And you are the life. So you see, and even understanding that little bit, you must realise that in coming from that point of view, there must be certainly a change in you, certainly a difference. And that change can be very profound because others will notice it. And that's the point. Others will notice it and recognise it and want to know what you've got. What's brought about this change in you? As somebody said to me years ago, I like what you said and I want what you got. And they came along and heard it. And I mean, over 30, 40, nearly 40 years now, it's been the truth for them, seen it. So it works. Not only them, there's others along the way. I couldn't name them all. I'm not particularly interested. And I get no credit for it because the same thing happened to me. And I went for years looking and struggling with it until it took me against my so-called will, which I have no, took me to where I needed to be, though I didn't particularly want to be there. So it did it all for me. In spite of all the struggle and thing I'd put up and all the things that happened in my life, which had been about struggle and putting it up and trying to become and be something, and all the erroneous beliefs I'd taken on board, they all disappeared, not overnight, but in the seeing through it once and recognising it can never be the same. And it can only go further because it continues to grow and continues to unveil all the erroneous beliefs and all the erroneous things. And ever fresh and ever new, the change will continue to come about. It's not one big bang and big explosion. The big explosion is the recognising that you're not what you believe yourself to be, and that's enough to see. But for the old habit patterns and thoughts and concepts we had, when they're recognised for what they are and really looked into and investigated, they fall apart because the false cannot stand up to investigation, and you know that. How many things have you known in your life that you believed to be real when you were a kid, when you looked into them, investigated them, and seen them falling apart? They weren't the way they believed and saw them. You see them totally different. Well, it's the same thing that happens. Now, all that needs to happen is to have a look, and you wouldn't be here if you weren't recognising it, and see for yourself. Some of you have had taste of it and recognised it, and what you've understood or recognised, tell us about it. Because you might say it in different words to what I'm saying, it'll be the same truth, because there's only the one truth. And others might hear it, but they won't hear what I'm saying. They won't say I'm full of crap and full of rubbish, because I haven't got the unique way of expressing it, just the way it is. And others will have a way. And if you haven't recognised it yet and you're still stuck in the beliefs, question your beliefs or ask questions. And through the questions, somebody might be able to point an answer that will resonate with you and take it on board. See, for many, many years I heard that the Mahavakya, I am that. And I said, oh yeah, that's a good one, that's right. Heard that for years. It wasn't until I got to the Saga that I really heard it. And I heard there wasn't a body of the mind. I'd heard that for many years, and I see it in a lot of the teachings. It's there. But a lot of them will tell you, you've got to understand the mind, look for you find the answer in the mind. But when you look into the true scriptures again, they'll tell you the answer's not in the mind. The nature of the mind is to vibrate. Thoughts, words, things, the answer's not there. And so we try to get peace of mind, but they'll tell you, you'll never ever get peace of mind. And they point that out by saying the peace is when the mind is not, that they call it the peace that passes all understanding. And those very words which they explain it, passes all understanding. Where do you understand things? Only and ever in the mind. That's where they're understood. If you're talking a peace that passes all understanding, it means you can't grasp it with an understanding mind. You need to look prior to the mind, beyond the mind, but prior to the thought. And you'll see that's where the peace is. The peace is in the stillness, in the silence, in the cognising emptiness. And see, in the silence comes sound, in the emptiness comes things. That was so good. But it's still the cognising emptiness, and the emptiness is forming it. And the form is empty. Well, there's nothing but the emptiness. It's all there in those two statements. You are that. So instead of starting from the person, persona of the mask, trying to become something, which you never will, because you're starting from behind the 8 ball from a dead image, and the dead can't keep up with it. Start with the life that you are right now. I am that life. I am aware. I'm not unaware. I am not this person. I am the life itself. Start from that. Then all you've got to do is discard all the conceptual ideas and images that have been holding us back. Drop them. Take the burden, we're loaded with the burden of thinking, and that's the enlightenment, not some big explosion or something like that. But it's getting rid of the load of rubbish and woes and depression we've carried around. Drop it all. It's not what you are. And you'll feel the burden lift off you, and there will be an enlightening, the weight taken off. The weight is taken off your soul, you feel a lot lighter. And that's when the joy can arise, subtly, spontaneously, and naturally, what they call the uncaused joy. It doesn't need any cause. It's naturally evident there of itself. And you've had it, you've had taste of it. You taste it again. So that's all I'm going to say for a while. So if you've got any questions to keep it going, ask it. And if you want to say something, or if you've got anything to tell us, tell it. Somebody might be waiting to hear it. So get into it.
Hi, Bob. It's Bhakti. I'm wondering if you, don't know what a samskara is exactly, but I recognize the uncaused joy, and it's like a shot of electricity through of delight, and then at the same time, not the same time, but then this last week or so, there's like this total funk that, and it's not, I don't know if it's mental or it's the physical. And I'm wondering how much impact does food have and what you're eating on the, almost like on that capacity for being present. Does that make sense? Do you reckon?
The right food in the body,
Yeah.
fuel in your car, you're not going to get into forward. But you say you're in a home from last week and the uncaused joy arose again. Why worry about last week now? It's dead. You can never resurrect it. Get back into the present. You've had a taste of that uncaused joy, you go looking into the home from last week again, you let it go. And it disappears. Just stay with that more. Just rest in it, relax in it. Well, and realise that all the past things have come and gone. Even the joy and that's come and gone. It's constantly to be open to let it come again instead of loading it down with the old thoughts, the old fears, the old anxiety, which we do. Don't like this one, I've got to change it. Realise that the change comes about of itself. It's constantly, everything is changing. It's all constantly changing. Ever fresh, ever new. But we're locking into the old, into the dead. It's why it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I can see that, and I know these days that if there's a sort of a period of not being focused or being not in a very good space, that it actually works itself through. It's like sort of like mud in the garden hose. It kind of unkinks itself.
Well, good, you're recognising that. There's more and more to happen, more it's recognised, more it's... You might get caught in the old again for a while because that habit's been there for years.
Yeah.
But in the recognising, it's just a habit. You can and you know it can be got rid of, well, you just let it go.
Yeah.
Don't bother to act on it or get involved with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just add on the food issue. Just hello everyone.
I can.
It's funny how different everybody is, how different every single construction is. Like I've been yesterday seeing one of my dear clients, and he had his 94th birthday. And the stuff he eats is unthinkable. Not only he's got wine every evening after the big fat sugary dairy full dessert, which he has after a big loaf of meat in the evening. He is eating rubbish that I would not imagine somebody would live till 60, because my father has complete kidney failures at the age of 63, and he's still on dialysis, even though he never eats that rubbishy food as that client of mine who is 94.
Mm.
So somehow it affects him less. It affected my father more. I don't know what big issue is the conceptualizing about the food taking, because my father believed that he was eating decent food.
Mm.
Of course, everything deeply fried and greasy. He didn't drink much alcohol, and he wasn't putting sugar into his tea, but he was drinking Fanta and Coca-Cola. But yeah, every single body has completely different makeup, so you can only really see how that does affect you. And it also may affect you at different time in a different way, because everything else also affects that. The weather affects that, the mental state affects that. So it is like a really sum total of infinite number of inputs that contribute. But you can see, like we can see what happened with Bob when 4.5 years ago he got off the junk and he started having smoothies and stuff, and the weight, the visceral weight just fell off without any fasting, and the walking came back, and the clarity. So it does certainly have its place.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, not to get hung up on it, and I think awareness can see and can notice, and at the same time there's nothing to do, because it will cause different choices is what I start to see just by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frustrating yourself, oh, I should be doing better, I should not be touching this. That creates sense of guilt, which makes even more excuses and reasons to find comfort in food.
Yeah, yeah.
Really
Yeah.
find balance,
Yeah. Yeah.
trust the nature, and keep forgetting and forgiving whatever happens. Like Bob says, last week is dead. We had chips today. We're gonna forget it soon.
Did you have?
Chips. We had fish and chips a couple of days ago. There was a lot of chips left, so we just grilled some more chips today. It's junk. It's really junk. There's no food value in it. It's all boiled out in the oil, all the whatever the goodness in it. But yeah, it happened, and we're not making big deal. We're not gonna be having guilt trips or anything.
You never know. Different people eat different things. You know, some last forever. There's that joke. This bloke who's giving a lecture on prohibition on evils of drink, and he says, "Here, I'll show you the evils of drinking." He's got 2 glasses. He says, "This glass is full of gin. This glass is full of water. And here is a worm." So he popped the worm into the glass with the water, and the worm's wriggling happily around. And he took it out and popped it in the glass of gin, killed it instantly. There, he says, "This is what drink will do you." What does that tell you? An old drunk in the back of the room popped up and said, "Drink gin, you'll never have worms."
Very good, yeah. Mm.
I'll just change the subject quickly. I would like to, because I keep forgetting it. I would like to say thank you in the name of Bob's for all the donations that we're getting for the meeting. If anyone is able to chip in $10 or $15, and we are getting, and thank you, Megan or Caroline, Sally. I don't know if it's every little bit helps, like Bob says.
Yeah.
Says Mikey, piecing to the ocean. We do have extreme bodies falling apart and coats and the house falling apart. So we really appreciate if that's easy. Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Heyman.
Hi, Ewan.
Hi. Nice to see you first. And I have gratitude for you. And a few hours ago, I lost $400 in a scam. I just want to warn you, be careful, especially everything you see on Facebook. Some people's profile has been hacked that I trust, and those who hacked this profile put posts on the Facebook and written stuff on it. So people like me thinks that those people send this post. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're actually the hackers.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we talk about donation, this is counter donation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've seen one today. I've seen one that happened to one member of our Sangha, one could say. Yeah, the scam, internet scam, the profiles are being hacked. And yeah, thank you for warning. Yes, there is quite a lot of that going on. And I'm sorry you lost the money. Really sorry.
I'm not that sorry. I forget it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I did get scammed some time ago, 2-3 years ago as well. So it happens.
Yeah.
I'll just say that one thing. Then I remember when Terry was still coming to the group, he was connecting with a lady back in Poland who was rebellious, and she was really trying to catch something that what Bob says is incorrect. And she says, I was saying words before I was 2 years old, and my girlfriend's child is 8 months and is already saying gaga. So they had a big argument because Terry was very defensive over Bob, so he jumped back on her that how dare she question whatever Bob is saying. And it ended badly. They don't speak to each other anymore. They attack each other occasionally. But the thing is, I don't think anyone else would have a doubt. The thing is, when Bob is saying about the words, when we first learn to speak words, of course we learn to speak words before we are 2. By the age of 2, we make sense of the words. And I think you did actually highlight it. When you start, reasoning capacity develops and you start understanding the symbols, the words. Of course, you may understand, you may be a year old and you may understand mama or whatever, and you may really actually be able to operate with that symbol. But the words, it is not still enough of these words to actually use the reasoning. So, and again, Bob often also says that it depends on the baby. Some babies reason faster, some reason slower. It's roughly around two and a half when the baby is actually identifying itself as a body, the mirror test. So that is a big sign of reasoning, because that is not something that is something that it learns. That's not something that is obvious. That is not a discovery, because it isn't a body, and it wasn't a body a year earlier, or 5 months earlier, or 5 minutes earlier. So it is a reasoning. It is the mind that is telling a child that it is seeing itself in the mirror. The image in the mirror represents the body outside the mirror. So it is reasoned, and from now on, the reasoning gets even more sophisticated and more dense and more developed, until the point where that symbolic image in front of the mirror, the body, creates another image within the body, which is the ego, the mask, the personality, the persona, and identification comes out of the body into that mental image. So it kind of gets even more refined, and the trap gets even more difficult to see through, because you can't see the mind, you can't see the ego. But yeah, that all comes with the development of the brain, and of course learning through observation, learning through mimicking, imitating. That's what one of the ways of defining human intelligence, capacity to learn by imitation. So the poor kid has no chance. Everyone is identified as the body mind. What else would that, what role models does it have not to develop the same sort of an identity? And thank God for that. Otherwise, there would be no seeing through. Like, animal doesn't need to see through, because it didn't fall for a dream. It didn't create the imaginary self within the body to wake up from it.
I like the explanation of, or your description of the ego as the image that's formed inside in the mind. Yeah.
Nothing control you except your own imagination. Those images, mental images, cause all the problem.
Yeah. All the conceptualization of self, yeah. And other, or world. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good for practical reasons, because it's good for communication, and yeah, it enables the whole world to look the way it does. But I even like to ridicule that idea, to make it ridiculous, make it funny, to say, because it's not only that the image or the mask is formed somehow within that structure of the body or inside the structure of the body. I even like to see how, let's say, Americans, when they say, okay, I am, they would instruct themselves, point at your nose and say, I am, whatever they want to affirm. So they somehow believe that the center of the self is in the nose. I don't know if this everywhere in America, but in few places where I was, they would point at themselves by pointing the nose. In Brazil, they would point the heart. That's me. And I've seen also people who would say, yes, this is me, this, the head. So this is really, really funny how the location of that center, of that imagined entity, is also kind of culturally, or perhaps it is personality also dependent. Where do we feel that the center is? But again, there's nothing there. There is no little dwarf there in the head or in the nose or in the heart or in the gut or anywhere else. There isn't. It's just an image. And it's funny how when Bob was saying the enlightenment is getting lighter, dropping off, offloading that burden of self, because what comes in being a believer of that entity inside, it comes all the heavy weight with it. If I am the entity, what goes with it? Oh, perhaps I'm not adequate. Perhaps I'm pitiful or unlovable or whatever. I mean, whatever concept comes with the belief in the entity will always be limiting. Even if I'm narcissistic and I believe that I'm greatest and finest and smarter than everyone else, then there is still me and everyone else. So I'm still vulnerable because that everyone else may disagree. And now I will be on the mission to convincing them. And why would I need to convince them? Obviously to convince myself. So even if someone have high self-esteem, well, they may have their life a little bit less painful, but the limitation, the insecurity, the incompleteness, the constant need to add, to prove, to show, to demonstrate, is still going to be there. So unless identification stops completely, because there is nothing to identify with or no one to identify us, any identification is going to be limiting. Even if the identification is us totality, identifying as totality is conceptual. There is no need to identify if there is no one home. If there is no one there, it doesn't need to identify as God because there is no one there. It's a pointer. It's a pointer, especially because more often than not, that sense of identity is.
There's totality. Who can point to it anyway?
Yeah.
But can you take away from it to point to? Totally.
It's often used for people who suffer to actually just point out that, look, you are uniquely beautiful. There is no another you in the world. You gotta appreciate yourself. Also speaking about the body-mind. So the pointer you are going for everything is just a pointer because there's no you. There's no need to point.
What did you say, Bob? I couldn't catch what you said.
When you say when there is no one there.
I say, if there's totality, who can point at it?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. Was it you or Nisargadatta who said that knowing you I am nothing is wisdom?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, when I know that I am nothing,
yes.
when I know that I am everything, that is love.
Yes.
Between those two, the life is continually flowing. Between the wisdom and the love. That's Nisargadatta.
Right, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Another way it was translated also, wisdom tells me I am nothing. Love tells me I am everything. And between them, my life flows. And it was yet another one when they say, wisdom says I am nothing. There is no me in it. And the love says I am everything. And also the one that Bob says, because he is so like intellectually oriented, he says, wisdom tells me I'm nothing and love tells me I'm everything. Was it that what how you says?
I don't know.
No, how did you say it again?
Yeah, that's how he just said it, I think.
Yeah, when it's not Nisargadatta said.
Mm.
Wisdom tells you I'm nothing. And
Oh no, yeah, that's exact. No, see, Bob says, when I know I
Yeah.
am wisdom, this is I am nothing, or this is nothing. When I know I am love, this is everything. So actually, Nisargadatta probably wouldn't say it this way because he wouldn't put no in both ends. But wisdom goes with knowing, but love goes more with feeling than knowing. Love doesn't really operate in the conceptual framework of knowing. It is more of a feel. When I feel I am love, I'm everything. But because Bob is biased towards intellect, towards understanding, that's why everything in a way Bob is pointing is so beautifully and simply brought back to the logic and my understanding that it literally mind and blows it away.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But Nisargadatta, I think, didn't use the no twice in the quotes.
I think it'll easy look it up again, isn't it?
Yeah. It's few different translations, but it shows it says it all. It's beautiful. He takes both ends of the sticks and collapses them into the one. Because then he says, when my life flows between, it's just kind of collapses. The two ends become one stick.
And I'll put it the other way, everything is no thing, and the no thing is everything.
Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. And they also say in spiritual circles, or spiritual circles, they say that the path of bhakti, path of devotion, will take you to the point where understanding shines through and unfolds. And the path of understanding, or jnani, brings you to the point where your heart opens and melts. Because that's where they meet. In complete realization, the understanding and love, they meet. They one. Love takes, like you have quote from Rumi, by understanding, well, by worshipping.
Yeah, no, that's not really, that was Tukaram.
Okay, Tukaram.
He says,
by worshipping.
Well, by worship, he was a Bhakti. He was a lover of God in one form. He says, by worshipping the form, I attained the formless. So it doesn't say that it shouldn't be worshipped that way. That took him there, by being a Bhakti.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I like to see it because it kind of meets there for me. The understanding and the love, they meet beauty. Because when you really see through the brilliance of that whole manifestation, the incredible creativity, the impossibility of the whole dream to exist and yet be seen, it is mind-blowing beautiful. And how beautiful is the love that comes with the understanding and with seeing that beauty, because it really melts you in love. You can't love what is, like, you can't not love the beauty. That's how we are wired. Like, we love the goodness and we love the beauty and the whole love versus absence of love. We are wired towards it.
Yeah.
And when seeing beauty, this is also where the love and the understanding completely collapse for me, because I can't say I'm looking at the beautiful sky, or I'm looking at Bob, who is beautiful to me inside out, and I don't know if the love comes from seeing the brilliance, or from seeing the brilliance comes the love. I don't know. They totally collapse. The understanding and the love really in beauty, they merge. So recognizing beauty, recognizing in everything, even in things that are difficult. Even in hindsight, like people have, oh, that was such a hard year. But you had a hard year 12 years ago, maybe, or 15 years ago. and it brought you to where you are. Can't you appreciate that hardship which made you stronger, which made you see how life looked after you anyway? And then you see the beauty again, and I get it.
So, Kat, yeah, I feel very drawn to the Bhakti path. So do you think the Bhakti path is a legitimate way on the non-dual path? Yeah, I think yeah.
As we just said in that quote from Tukaram, he was a great Bhakti, you know. But it took him worship in the form. That's why he attained took him beyond the notion reality. That was the way he did it.
What was that? What was his name?
Tukaram, I think it was.
Tukaram. Tukaram.
I think it was
Yeah.
right in.
Yeah,
right
he was a
in-
saint. And it is hard to say what's legitimate or what's not, because everything is that. So there are dangers on every path. If we look from the perspective of individual who can get trapped, and dangers for that law itself through different ways or means. So ultimately, the Sadguru, which is the final guide, is yourself. So if you are drawn, you may resist it with all your heart, and you still find yourself experiencing the path of Bhakti, because you have no saying really. So whether, yeah, just see where the life takes you. I think it also, well, I'm attracted to that too. I think the feminine spirituality is worldwide, all connected to the much more hard path than the mind path, through the conditioning, through the cultural conditioning from tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years, where they gather together and they express art and love and beauty. That's why so few women around Zen side or around like hardcore non-duality, because they are attracted more to the heart sort of a calling. And everything is right, nothing's wrong. Although I found here, and nothing's missing on the path of journey, one could say, there is no path. Nothing's missing on the path of Bhakti either. Nothing missing. It's all frequency. So if there is a natural attraction, I think saying he was kind of more into, she was into non-duality, but she was more into Bhakti.
No, I didn't say anything about him.
Okay, I don't remember someone, because I don't really know her teachings well enough. But I know that she did attract a lot of people over the years, and I don't know, just follow your own heart, because it's nothing wrong. It's nothing legitimate in anything at all, because it's always the same, just dancing itself. And recognition is, funny enough, regardless of the path. Whether you're on one path or another, you go on path of meditation or path of work, path of whatever. What up doesn't need the path, because it's not something that wakes up. It's the consciousness that is seeing through the filter, through the mask. So whether Sally is in one place or the other, or is doing one thing or other, it doesn't really matter what it does. But if some sort of a calling, sort of an attraction, you find yourself following it, regardless of whatever Bob says or we say. It's not up to you. It's really the worship. Although, yeah, I have to say, I've seen people here coming to Bob's groups, and worshipping him, which he never really wanted, and he was always kind of trying to talk people out of it. He was giving a big spiels on listen to the message. Messenger is just a messenger, you know, don't kill the messenger, but don't worship him either. And he could not prevent certain behaviors and certain feelings to arise, like natural gratitude or natural trust. And that's how life has it. And it might also appear helpful, because if people have concept about him being superhuman like I did, they listen to him more attentively, and that concept may help some pointers to penetrate. So the way life has it is just as it is perfect.
Bob, a series of thoughts were stuck in my mind on Sunday. And Sunday spiel, Bob mentioned when a series of thoughts comes up, watch them as if they are come up very first time. They're totally fresh and new. Do not believe them that they happened in the past, and following the past, they still happening and happening. It's not like that. And yeah, I definitely removed them through this new teaching. Thanks for that. New technique. Actually, I didn't know this technique. Thanks for that. Now I know. Yes.
Of course, it's yours now.
Yes, it's mine. I won't give it to anybody else.
There isn't anybody else.
That's the.
Yeah, it is nice. That's the state of mind of like Jesus was saying, you can't enter the kingdom until you become back as a child. Be like a little children. Be curious. Be excited. Like look around and see things for the first time. Don't assume that you know what everything is. Just find that freshness and newness in everything. That is not only really helpful, but it is really fun too.
By the way, without body, it is not possible to have a mind, which is thinking patterns, as I know. So definitely thinking happens in the body. And body is just a field of energy. Energy is created every moment totally new, irrelevant with the previous moment. So everything is 100% new, any sensation, whether it's negative or positive, anxiety, depression, thoughts, annoying thoughts, very good thoughts, joyful thoughts. They're all similar in terms of energy. They're all created by exactly same energy, all the time new. Every time they create it, they're new, 100% new, irrelevant to the previous one. And that is very helpful to be there as new, like a child that just born, to say something. It's very helpful to not hold on to the past. I'm not coming from the past and now I'm here. I'm just here and now I decide what to do.
All spontaneous. All spontaneous.
Yes.
Happening right in this moment.
Immediacy. Yes. By the way, awareness is continuous from point of view of body. It's not even continuous.
It's spontaneous like everything else. The body is spontaneous, every cell. And in transit, it's constantly changing. So nothing lasts.
No, nothing. You can also say nothing lasts. That's only last. Yes. You just said it.
And the old question whether the body happens in the mind or the mind happens in the body, or consciousness is first and then is manifestation, or manifestation creates consciousness. All that big debates that the science is breaking their heads for years and years, that's unresolvable. It's really nothing to fight for. It's nothing that needs to be resolved around it, because the idea that the body is first, because without the body there cannot be a mind, is an assumption. The opposite idea is also assumption, and they could be proved either way. They could be proved by measuring equipment, which is also perhaps dreamt in the dream, or they could be proved by the direct experience. And that will be contradictory proofs. So the easiest and the best way is to just really not go there. It is what it is. What was first, what was second? Hey, we're talking about the past. Past doesn't exist. Past is a concept.
And you're talking about time too.
Yeah, it's a
There's such
concept.
thing as time.
Did you imply if we say without a body there would be a mind, is talking about time? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, how do you know? How do you know? That in this direct moment, in this immediacy, can you verify that statement? Can you experientially verify that statement? Or you have to go to the time where there was no body, or you have to go to the time when there will be no body. That's time. Right in this moment, the only experience you have is the experience of body-mind. You can't really say that if there would be no body, there would be no mind, because how would you know that? I don't say that this statement is wrong, and I don't say that the opposite statement is wrong either. It's just that going into that conceptual framework of philosophy, we're stepping out of non-duality. There's nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong in believing one or the other. But non-duality is not about the belief system. It is about a recognition right in this immediacy of what is here right now.
By the way, when it comes to form, we have no other choice to talk dualistically. So, of course, non-duality is about recognition. But when you talk about body and mind, it's automatic. It's already duality because it's form. Of course, it's non-duality. Of course, 100%. No doubt.
But if you go to time, now you bring up second generation of duality, because you can look at the form and emptiness right in this immediacy, or you can start imagining form and emptiness 1,000 years ago, or in 1,000 years, or yesterday, or tomorrow. That is moving away further into the imagination. You have the direct experience from the senses, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and you will experience the form and the emptiness. Or you can go to the conceptualizing and imagine that form and emptiness in time. So stepping into that immediacy and stepping out of philosophy and conceptualizing ideas, what if or what would be, is kind of coming closer to the possibility of recognition, because there is no possibility of recognition when we are theoretizing, bringing up the philosophical ideas or concepts. It's nothing wrong. It's entertaining. It's fun. But it's absolutely nothing wrong about that. But it's just, in this meeting, we are trying to come as close as possible to that, to pointing into non-duality and moving into the theoretical, imaginary, philosophical time frame is just not really the same direction.
Well, can I just add that we what about when we sleep? I mean, our body functions without us. We don't, it doesn't need the so-called I to breathe, you know, for the lungs to work, for the heart to work. So where do we go when we're asleep?
The thinking disappears, but the life is still functioning.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So
You are the life, not the thoughts or things that appear in. Now, could there be a body or a mind? If you are the absolute, now you can't add to the absolute, and you can't take anything away. So how can this manifestation express if it didn't form a pattern to express through? So the pattern, shape, and form is still the absolute. Now it formed that body, the absolute. Now that body, if it didn't have the nerves, sinews, brain, and all these other things in it, the myriads of things, the heart, the lymph, and everything make up, it couldn't express either. Just like your computer has got all that,
yeah,
and it can't do a thing with it if there's no power going through it. So what do? We formed a computer to put the power through it and give us all this information. Like in life itself, this has formed this absolute, has formed this pattern, this shape of body, just the same a tree, a flower, everything else,
yep,
to express through. And it is still only the life that's expressing, patterning, shaping, forming, and that's all there is. There is only life. There's nobody who lives a life. And life continually is life.
so where are we? So where are we as in the I?
It's all Maya, it's all illusion.
That's right. It's
The
we.
pattern, shape, and form that's formed to express through. And form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. It's the emptiness of the life essence is patterning, shaping, and form. All these things to express through, but there's still only the emptiness. The form is nothing but the emptiness.
But that is actually a very good insight, that which you are looking into. If the I disappears, it can't
Yeah.
be you. You can't be it. So the I is just kind of like a crutch.
Correct. Correct. It's just illusionary.
Yeah, that's what they say. It's a
Yes.
phenomenal manifestation.
Yes.
That's all this manifestation is, phenomenal. And the definition of phenomenal is that which appears to be.
Yes.
Only seeming, appearance means seemingly so. It's only seemingly so. It's like a dream.
Hmm.
It's just the same as a dream. You have the dream at night and you can be all sorts of different places, doing all sorts of different things.
Mm.
When you wake up in the morning, you realise you haven't moved off the bed. Words have come out of your mouth. But you wake up to this dream. This is the living dream, but we don't realise it's a dream. And the only difference between the sleeping dream and this dream is this dream seeming continues when you wake up from where it left off the night before. But the dream that you have in sleep disappears.
That's, yeah.
So when they say life is but a dream, it's really so.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what we say. And you are the life itself.
You are the life itself. Mm. So I am the light that,
The world appears in.
yeah, that the world appears in. Sorry, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. And the
Yeah, correct.
light is only energy.
Mm.
You're only the energy that forms the world and appears
Mm.
in. And that's what Christ said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the light.
And that's
You are the light of the world.
what makes me one with the universe.
You're one with the universe anyway. But I think just see, recognise that you are that one with the
Yes.
universal light.
Universal light. Yeah. Okay. Yep. That's a good description.
And let the light continue to shine.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks, Kat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Mm.
It's a two-way street, remember that.
Mm.
Yeah.
We get just as much out of it as you. And everybody else.
I remember Bob saying sometimes it's the only game in the town. What else would one want to contemplate or look at or express or think? That's
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob and Kat.
Okay. Sally,
Yeah, thank you,
Good
everyone.
night.
Malcolm,
Hi, Bob.
hi.
Taking wonderfully in time, as you can tell. I'm a friend of John's, John Linland from
Ah,
Australia. Oh,
you just missed us.
Hi.
Just close it down.
yeah, I know. I just saw it. I'm supposedly working at home, and I just saw it. I said, "Damn, I wanted to." So I'll come around next time.
Have you been in touch with John lately?
Off and on for the last 25 years, yeah.
No, yeah. But you haven't seen him recently.
No, I haven't seen him recently, but I talked a few weeks ago, and he gave me, he pointed me to you again. I went, okay, yes. Because I've been reading the I Am That, so I'm reading it for the 4th time now. So, yeah. Nothing else sensible to say right now, just saying hi, and hi from John.
Hi to you. Love you. Love John.
I know. I'll let him know.
God, thank you.
And I'll be in time next time.
We'll be here in a couple of days. And
Yeah, I'll check and I'll see if I can get my inner schedule more functional.
You take care.
Yes, thanks. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Oi.